All right, strap in everyone because we are diving deep today. Get this, there's this Chinese AI model, DeepSeek R1, and let me tell you, it's making some serious waves. I mean, it's everywhere you look. Expert analysis videos, in-depth tech articles, even the financial news can't stop talking about it. Heck, we've even got some political commentary thrown into the mix. So why all the hype? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The story here isn't just about the tech itself. It's about what DeepSeek R1 actually does, and maybe even more importantly, the timing of it all. A lot of sources are calling this AI's Sputnik moment, and they have a point.
Okay, for those of us who weren't around for the original Sputnik, can you give us a quick history lesson?
Sure, imagine it's 1957. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik 1, the first ever satellite to orbit Earth. Now, this sent shockwaves through the U.S., who thought they were top dog in the space race. It was a wake-up call, a moment that completely changed how the U.S. viewed technology and how they saw global competition.
So we're saying DeepSeek is China's Sputnik.
A lot of experts think so. DeepSeek kind of came out of nowhere, and its capabilities, well, they're making people nervous, especially in the U.S., where folks thought they had AI development on lock.
It's like DeepSeek just jumped ahead of the line. And, if you compare it to something like ChatGPT, which everyone knows, the differences are kind of mind-blowing.
You can't avoid those comparisons. DeepSeek is supposedly right up there with ChatGPT, especially when it comes to things like reasoning, math, even coding. But, and here's the crazy part, DeepSeek's development cost, reportedly under $6 million. ChatGPT, billions with a B.
Wow, that cost difference is just insane. Really makes you think about how we've been approaching AI development all this time.
And there's another biggie. DeepSeek R1 is open source. ChatGPT, proprietary. Two very different worlds.
Let's break that down a bit for our listeners. When we say open source, what does that actually mean in this context?
Open source basically means the code behind DeepSeek R1 is out there for everyone to see. Anyone can use it, tweak it, even share it. ChatGPT, you're stuck with OpenAI services, their rules. DeepSeek, you can potentially run the AI on your own system.
Yeah, and digging into these sources, it seems like you can actually run DeepSeek locally, even on something like a Jetson Nano. That's a $250 computer.
It's true, there are lists out there detailing what devices can run which sizes of the DeepSeek model, along with their token output rates, basically how fast the model processes information. To have this level of AI power in the hands of individuals, not just corporations, that's a game changer.
I mean, imagine having powerful AI on your own computer, no cloud costs, you control your data. Makes you wonder what the tech giants are thinking right now.
I'm sure they're watching very closely. But this goes way beyond just you and me. We need to think about the bigger picture, the geopolitical, economic impacts. Mike Pizzillo, an Australian government official, he called DeepSeek a geopolitical play. I think he's onto something.
So this isn't just about cool new tech, it's about global power dynamics.
Exactly. China's motivations for releasing DeepSeek. People are analyzing that very carefully. For the U.S., this challenges their whole idea of being the tech leader, especially because they've been trying to stop China from getting those advanced computer chips, the ones Nvidia makes.
Speaking of Nvidia, I read that when DeepSeek's dropped, the stock market went haywire. Nvidia's share price took a nosedive. I'm talking a $600 billion drop in market cap in a single day.
It was a huge hit. The financial world is reacting to the potential disruption DeepSeek represents. It's a challenge to the way things are. With that expensive proprietary AI controlled by a few big companies, this could be a turning point.
So how did DeepSeek pull this off? They're not some massive corporation with billions to throw around, yet they've seemingly matched AI that was developed with way more resources. What's their secret sauce?
Well, they've adopted some pretty innovative techniques. One of them is called distillation.
Distillation. That sounds more like chemistry class than AI.
Kind of similar, actually. DeepSeek uses those larger AI models, like GPT-4, as teachers. Basically, their model learns to copy the outputs of those big AIs without needing to be as big or complex itself.
So it's learning from the best, but doesn't have to become a monster itself. Talk about efficiency. What else are they up to?
Well, they're also challenging the whole idea that you need the absolute latest and greatest hardware. They apparently used older, less powerful GPUs, which saves a ton of money. But on top of that, they're using some really innovative training techniques, things like mixture of experts and chain of thought.
Okay, those sound a bit technical. Can you break those down for us?
Sure, mixture of experts is kind of like dividing the AI into specialized teams. Each team is trained on a specific task, which makes the whole system way more efficient and focused.
So instead of one giant AI trying to do it all, it's more like a bunch of specialists working together. Makes sense. What about chain of thought?
Chain of thought is basically encouraging the AI to think step by step, almost like how we solve problems. By making the AI show its work, so to speak, It actually improves its problem-solving skills.
It's like showing your work in math class. Helps you catch mistakes and understand things better.
Exactly. And these techniques, along with that distillation approach, well, they seem to be a big part of DeepSeek's success.
Okay, so we've talked about all the amazing things DeepSeek can do, but are there any downsides? I mean, there's got to be some limitations or concerns, right?
Of course, nothing's perfect. One thing that's been raised is that DeepSeek was developed in China, and their privacy policy says user data is stored there. Some people might be hesitant about sharing their info with Chinese companies, which is understandable. It's worth noting, though, that OpenAI also collects similar data on its users.
So, not unique to DeepSeek, but something to be aware of. What other concerns are floating around out there?
Well, some folks are a bit skeptical about those super low development costs. They think the real cost is probably a bit higher than $6 million.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine reaching this level of AI on what seems like a shoestring budget. What about limitations compared to, say, GPT-4? Are there any drawbacks to DeepSeek being a smaller model?
That's a good question. Smaller, distilled AI models like DeepSeek might not know as much as those massive models they learn from, so they might make more mistakes or struggle with really specific, nuanced tasks that need tons of data.
So DeepSeek's impressive, no doubt, but it's not necessarily a replacement for every other AI out there. It's a different approach with its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right, and it's important to keep those nuances in mind as this whole AI world keeps changing so fast.
Wow, we've covered a lot. Feels like our brains are doing some serious chain of thought processing right now.
I know, right? It's a lot to take in, but that's what makes this so exciting. DeepSeek R1 has really shaken things up. It's a major disruption. And it raises a big question. What does this mean for the future of AI?
That's the million-dollar question. I'm dying to hear your take. But first, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve deeper into the potential impact of DeepSeek, what it could mean for the world of AI and for you personally. Stick with us.
Definitely. We'll be right back.
We're back, and before the break, we were talking about DeepSeek R1 really shaking things up in the AI world. It's like someone threw this giant rock into a pond, and we're watching the ripples spread everywhere.
It really is a good analogy. DeepSeek's impact is undeniable. It makes you think about what's next for AI development, what the future holds.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really got me thinking is this idea of open source AI becoming the norm. I mean, DeepSeek's proved you don't need billions of dollars. You don't need to be a tech giant to create some serious AI.
It's a fascinating possibility. DeepSeek has definitely shown that there's another way. We might be moving away from those massive proprietary models that have been so dominant in the AI world.
So could we be heading toward this, like, more open, collaborative AI ecosystem, where the innovation happens out in the open, not just locked away in big tech companies?
It's not impossible. Think about it. Open source models, they encourage innovation because anyone can contribute. There's more transparency because the code's right there for everyone to see. And it could be way more cost-effective because you don't have those huge licensing fees.
That sounds pretty utopia. But I'm sure there are some challenges to open source AI, right?
Oh, of course. One concern is always misuse. If anyone can get their hands on the code and change it, there's a risk it could be used for bad stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not as simple as saying open source is always good.
Right. Another challenge is keeping things going, making it sustainable. Developing and maintaining open source AI needs a strong community, and that can be hard to keep going over time.
Yeah, the initial excitement's one thing, but who's going to make sure these models stay updated and secure and are used ethically down the road?
Exactly. Those are the big questions that need to be answered if open source AI is really going to take off.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about how this could affect everyday people like us. How might DeepSeek or open source AI in general change our lives?
Well, one area where we could see big changes is personalized AI. Imagine AI models tailored just for you. Your needs, your preferences, running right on your own devices.
That's a pretty cool idea. It's like having an AI assistant that really gets you, helps you with your specific stuff, respects your privacy, no more dealing with those generic chatbots.
Exactly. Think about it. Personalized education, healthcare, even custom entertainment and shopping experiences.
Wow, the possibilities are endless, but wouldn't that need a ton of personal data to train these models properly? I mean, couldn't that lead to some serious privacy issues?
You're right. The way we collect and use data for AI training needs to change. Privacy and security have to be top priorities.
Maybe a more decentralized approach where people have more control over their data and how it's used.
There's a lot of research going on in that area. Things like federated learning, where models can be trained on data that's spread out without compromising privacy.
Okay, so personalized AI sounds promising, but we can't ignore the potential downsides. What about jobs? If AI becomes more accessible, more capable, won't it automate even more jobs away?
That's a question that's been around since the beginning of AI. And yeah, it's true. AI can automate tasks that humans are doing now.
And it's not just blue-collar jobs either, right? AI is getting pretty good at writing, translating, even coding. What happens to people whose jobs depend on those skills?
It's complicated. We need to rethink how we educate people and train them for jobs. The focus has to shift to skills that are uniquely human, things AI can't easily replicate.
So we're talking creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, those soft skills that we often take for granted.
Exactly. We also need to emphasize things like empathy, social intelligence, communication skills. Those are super important in so many jobs, and AI is nowhere near mastering them.
So it's not just about learning new technical skills, it's about nurturing those human capabilities that make us valuable.
I completely agree. It's not about AI replacing humans, it's about AI helping us do things better, faster, more efficiently.
That's a much more positive way to look at it. But how do we make sure this collaboration between humans and AI benefits everyone, not just a select few?
That's where policy and ethics come in. We need to make sure AI development is guided by fairness, transparency, accountability.
So regulations and guidelines to make sure AI is used for good. But who gets to decide what good is? And how do we prevent this technology from concentrating power and wealth in the hands of a few?
Those are some of the biggest questions we face as a society, and they go way beyond the technical side of AI. They get into our values, our sense of justice, the future we want to create.
It's amazing how we started with DeepSeek R1, and now we're talking about these huge questions about humanity, technology, the future.
That's what happens when you explore a topic deeply. You end up in unexpected places.
I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here. The DeepSeek story is just getting started.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride, that's for sure. One thing's for certain, the AI world is changing fast, and we're all part of it.
This conversation has been incredible, but before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I wanted to bring up something that wasn't explicitly in the sources, but it's been bugging me this whole time.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so we talked a lot about the technical and geopolitical stuff around DeepSeek, but what about the philosophical side of things?
Now that's interesting. Tell me more.
Well, DeepSeek was trained using distillation, right? Mimicking the outputs of bigger AI models. It got me thinking about how we learn as humans. Do we learn the same way by copying those around us, our parents, teachers, whoever? And if we do, what does that mean for developing our own unique identities and views?
Whoa, that's a deep one. Not sure there's an easy answer. But it shows how connected human learning and AI development really are. Maybe by studying how AI learns, we can learn more about our own brains.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. Adding it to my list of deep dives.
Looking forward to hearing what you come up with. But for now, we'll leave you with that question to ponder. As always, keep digging into this story as it unfolds. The world of AI is full of possibilities, both good and bad. It's up to us to shape the future we want.
You know, we've been exploring some pretty deep philosophical stuff here, thinking about how we learn, what makes us us in this world where AI is playing a bigger and bigger role. But maybe let's bring it back down to earth for a bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
One thing that keeps popping up in these sources is this tension between open source and proprietary AI. Do you think DeepSeek could actually force companies to change how they approach AI development?
It's the big question, right? The way it's been done traditionally is to keep AI models locked up tight, like they're the crown jewels. That's how companies like OpenAI have controlled access and charged a premium for their services.
It's the classic walled garden approach, but DeepSeek's kind of breaking down those walls, offering a real alternative.
Absolutely, and that's a huge deal for the whole tech world. You've got companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, they're pouring money into AI. But if open source models like DeepSeek become the standard, well, it could completely disrupt their business model.
So what do? Do they try to compete by building even more powerful, even more secretive AI? Or do they embrace the open source thing and figure out new ways to make money from AI?
I think they're probably trying both. We've already seen some movement towards OpenAI, like Meta releasing their Llama model. But it's a tough balancing act. Protect their investments, but also adapt to this rapidly changing landscape.
It's like DeepSeek's thrown down a challenge, this strategic chess match in the tech world.
Exactly. And this isn't just a game for tech companies. Governments are watching this very carefully. DeepSeek coming out of China has definitely raised some eyebrows. There are concerns about a global AI arms race.
Right, because whoever has the most advanced AI has the edge. It's not just about money anymore, it's about military and political power too.
Absolutely, the stakes are incredibly high. We could see a huge surge in AI research and development from governments and private companies. There might even be attempts to regulate, even restrict access to certain AI technologies, especially anything that's seen as sensitive or potentially dangerous.
This is getting a bit scary. Are we heading towards some kind of AI dystopia?
I wouldn't say that, but it does show how important international cooperation is. We need to be talking to each other, making sure AI development is guided by human values, and making sure these technologies are used to benefit everyone, not just a few.
It feels like we're at a crossroads. We have this incredibly powerful technology, but we need to make smart choices about how we use it.
You hit the nail on the head. And those choices need to be based on a real understanding of what AI can do, the good and the bad.
One thing that really comes across from these sources is the importance of transparency in AI development, especially with open source models.
Transparency is key, especially as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives. Being able to see the code lets researchers, and everyone really, understand how these models work. They can spot potential biases or risks and hold the developers accountable.
So open source isn't just about code and access, it's also a way to protect against misuse and to make sure AI development is ethical.
It's about making AI more democratic, making sure it's not controlled by a few big companies or governments.
Wow, what a journey this has been. We started with DeepSeek R1, and we ended up talking about some of the biggest questions facing humanity today.
That's the amazing thing about knowledge. It opens up our understanding, challenges what we thought we knew, and makes us think in new ways.
And that's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive. We hope this episode has helped you understand DeepSeek better and its implications, and the world of AI as a whole, which is always changing.
Yeah, and remember, this is just the beginning. As AI keeps developing, there will be new challenges, new opportunities. The future is being written right now.
So stay curious, stay informed, and keep asking the big questions. The future of AI is in our hands.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring.
See you then, 2017.